Remember, the next video after this part has already been made and is live now on my Patreon for you to see straight after you've watched this. Fully voice acted, soundtracked, and with my signature editing up for early access to the incredible 5,100 plus patrons who are now enjoying exclusive early access episodes before anyone else, literally right now. So join now and see why your fellow fans are going crazy in the comments. But before we begin, today's video is sponsored by Established Titles, a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodland of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It's a project based on historic Scottish customs where landowners were referred to as lairds, lords and ladies in English, and now title packs give at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Eddleston, Scotland, and an official certificate with crest. With every order, they even plant a tree while working with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. You could officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane tickets, or even dating profile, while also just being a great gift idea. So for the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link below will effectively be next to my plot, within a few minutes of walking distance, and depending on how many of you want to become a lord or lady, we can build our very own little Ultra Vegito kingdom. It makes an amazing last minute gift, and Established Titles is actually running a massive early Black Friday sale right now, plus if you use the code ARJ10 you'll get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/ARJ10 to get your gifts now and help support the channel. Enjoy. So our story continues with Ultra Vegito still with his Ultra Instinct activated, and one mysterious black horn deviating out of his cranium as he looks down in silence, covered in electricity, as he shakes before muttering, "I will have my revenge!" Before just as suddenly, Vegito collapses onto the ground and instantly reverts to base form, losing his horn as a wave of exhaustion hits him. And as he huffs and puffs from the sudden loss in energy, he surprisingly appears to be totally confused over wherever he even is, as he ponders, "What happened? Where am I? My head." Before Vegito then begins grabbing his throbbing head and continuing, "My body, it's full of injuries. Was I fighting someone? I was. That kid. That god. No son of mine, that's for sure." But Vegito, now denying Xicor's link to him and any associated guilt, would just look to the sky and think deeply, "But besides that, it looks like what Madara said was actually true. There seems to exist far more gods than I had ever anticipated. Every universe, every timeline is plagued by them in some way. And just as expected, even the timeline with that kid resulted in everyone being wiped out. It's just as I thought. These gods can never be trusted, and not one can be left alive." And with his thoughts complete and vendetta against the gods stronger than ever, Vegito would lift his hand, commenting ominously, "I need to find out more about what Madara said. There must be a way to save every timeline and universe from the rule of these monsters. I must learn just how many more of these cockroaches I must dispatch of, and possibly from the one god that would be forced to tell me something." And so in front of the god killer, just as planned, a portal would open. And finally, without any known distractions, no more Xicor, Vegito would begin slowly walking to enter the portal to a totally new timeline. But just as he approaches, something catches his eye as if traveling towards him at speed. What the? And suddenly, within the blink of an eye right behind, a ball of what looks like concentrated destruction energy appears right behind the God Killer and ready to erase him. But of course, with the attack being noticed, Vegito's impressive speed allows him to dodge out of the way with ease as it lands on the ground and explodes vigorously. Now who dares attack me from behind? Come out, coward! Instantly triggering Vegito to turn around and lash out in anger. Looks like I missed. But shockingly, as we finally see who the attacker is unexplainably Iwan, God of Destruction of Universe 1. For some reason, having returned alone despite running away earlier, and completely aware of the massive gulf of power difference between himself and the God Killer. What? You've got to be kidding me! Even surprising Vegito too, as he slowly then descends back to the ground before standing to face off with the Destroyer, wondering if this was some kind of trick. But a smirk soon appears on the God Killer's face as he then stares at Iwan and lets out, "Unbelievable! You actually showed up all alone to challenge me, Destroyer? The overconfidence of you gods has reached an all-time high. This is basically a death wish, you know. I thought you last two runts were going to run and cling for the rest of your lives until I finally found you. I planned on taking you out later on, in fact. But sure, if you want to give me a little energy snack now, who am I to stop you?" But a concerningly calm Iwan, with his arms behind him regally, would just respond without a hint of fear. "Run and cling to life? Don't be ridiculous. I didn't run from you, God Killer. I merely retreated to get the tools I needed to defeat you. I was surprised you were able to beat Guts, but Madara too? Now that was a surprise. Though little did you know, it would only serve to lead to your inevitable destruction." As suddenly, Iwan changes to what seems like an eccentric fighting position, with his arms out wide and his fingers separated and moving as if controlling puppets. But Vegito, watching on, can't help but be amused with a smirk, commenting, "Now what kind of silly fighting stance is that, Destroyer? Is that something you gods use? Because you're completely open, I hope you know. What are you trying to do over there? Fight me with your fingers?" To which in response, Iwan's eyes suddenly turn from relaxed to far more serious in demeanor, as his eyelids crease in and he simply replies, "Fight with my fingers? How observant, God Killer. Why don't you just find out for yourself, if you dare?" And as if not being needed to be told twice ever, Vegito would instantly bite onto Iwan's offer and rush in straight for the God of Destruction, his arms still folded as he does so in the ultimate sign of disrespect. And with a smirk that continues to increase, he would just say mid-flight, "Find out for myself? Who do you think I am, you damn weakling? I'm about to find out what your energy tastes like." Within literal nanoseconds, just in base, Vegito's insane speed leads him to appear right in front of Iwan, who still sports his intense look, for some reason, still not scared at all. But instantly, Just as he does so and reaches Iwan's vicinity, something is sensed by Vegito. A danger like no other, yet still familiar, as he mumbles at the last second, "This energy! No! What?" As out of nowhere, both Guts and Madara appear, striking Vegito from both sides, with the shocked Saiyan just barely at the last moment, blocking both attacks, but with a stare towards Guts in particular, as he lets out, "You! How? Yeah!" And with his full strength, Vegito then launches his arms out, pushing both Guts and Madara back with full force. The two members of the 5 strongest instantly shooting back, unable to push forward. Guts! Madara! What's the meaning of this? As once separated, Vegito reacts in pure shock and confusion, not being able to explain at all how both the first and second members of the 5 strongest he had defeated already were now back and seemingly at full health and strength. All the while, both Guts and Madara remain ominously silent. And as the 2 silent legendary warriors then jump back to retreat into position, behind them, suddenly a figure appears. And of course, it is what seems like their master himself, God of Destruction Iwan, using the 2 warriors now as a shield as he stands behind them with his hands up for some reason, commenting, "That's it, boys. Work together now. What's wrong, God Killer? You seem confused. Maybe you should take a closer look." And shockingly, as we peer closer, from the end of Iwan's fingertips, barely visible thin transparent strands of energy are seen, and most notably, all attached to the limbs and body parts of Guts and Madara. As Iwan then explains, "Notice yet, God Killer? You see, these 2, you so generously left their bodies intact for me. Not knowing my signature ability is the forbidden power of reanimation. These 2 monsters are now back to full power and completely under my control. Shells of themselves, but my greatest weapons now. My greatest puppets." What? But as soon as Vegito learns the truth behind Guts and Madara's return to the living world, a sudden rage overcomes him as his teeth begin to grit and veins bulge all over his face, and he grumbles back, "You did what to them? You damn weakling! You have no right to use the bodies of those in leagues far above you. For the sake of their honor, you will die a horrid death, destroyer!" But as Vegito threatens the god in the first appearance of Iwan's mouth ever seen in the history of Dragon Ball, the destroyer immediately bursts out into laughter, saying back, "What's wrong, Vegito? I seem to have struck a nerve with you, haven't I? Were you really that close to these 2? Funny, because it was you who killed them, which I think is a far more worse thing to do. Either way, God Killer, you should know better than anyone. All is fair in love and war." But on hearing this, finally the angered state of Vegito that he had earlier dissipates, and in its place, instead a smirk and laughter of his own from the God Killer emerges as he giggles. "No, to be honest, you are right. they did fall by my hand. I think I'm just more annoyed that you stole my move, Destroyer. As suddenly, the God Killer reopens his eyes, revealing they are now completely blackened, and meaning only one thing, as a certain technique is then unlocked, and Vegito yells, "How about we bring out my own guts and Madara, fool?" As instantly, besides Vegito, appears of course the energy apparitions of both Guts and Madara, gained from when he absorbed each of their energies, as with a cocky smirk from behind the two, Vegito would say, "Recognize these two, Iwan? These are made up of their true energies, not those lame counterfeits you have. Now tell me now what?" And immediately, a reaction of pure terror and bewilderment flushes over Iwan, having never ever seen this technique from the God Killer before, as he mumbles while stepping back in fear, No, this can't be! I found their bodies! They belong to me! I reanimated them completely! There cannot be another with my ability!" But the fear soon drops as Iwan then moves his fingers to assemble his puppets and begins convincing himself, "No, these must be illusions. You will not fool me, God Killer. Guts, Madara, destroy this fraud!" And immediately, on the orders of their puppet master, both the real-life Guts and Madara then immediately rush in at Vegito with the full force of the originals. But as they do, Vegito just begins to grin wider and wider, as he thinks, "Perfect! Now this will be just the test I need. Go! Show this fool what your power was really like!" As Vegito then suddenly points his two fingers straight towards Iwan's puppets and commands his own apparitions in the exact same way. And just like that, within seconds, both sets of the legendary five would be within inches of each other until... Through a raucous of loud yells and collisions, both sets of Guts and Madara would clash viciously with each other, being equal at every turn. And with their brief skirmish coming to no victor, each of the duo of legendary warriors lands back with their owners, with a slam, with Iwan reacting, What are you doing?" As Vegito reacts, "Not bad. Your reanimation actually somehow gave them their original strength." But once Iwan realizes that his puppets really are no stronger than the ones the God Killer has inexplicably created, a shade of dark blue slides on his face, as in total fear he yells, "No! How is this happening? Those things, they are the real deal. They're the same as my puppets." Leaving the smug Vegito to now fold his arms, still surrounded by dancing black lightning, and comments, "Oh, the little Yeti looks a little blue. I did tell you, didn't I? You should know by now. I'm a man of my word. But don't worry, I'm also a man who craves a challenge, so I have no intention of making this so easy." Before immediately snapping his fingers with a beaming smile, saying, "How about this? Better?" And just like that, Both energy apparitions of Guts and Madara would then disappear without a trace, with them for some reason no longer needed by the God Killer. Before finally we get our explanation, with Vegito then suddenly powering up to his Ultra form, combining both Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego as he does so, yelling out, "Come on then! Send those walking dead men! Let us see just how much stronger I am now!" And as Vegito just stands there waiting for a response, he would yell further, "Huh? Hurry up! Bring it on!" But this overconfidence and willingness to engage just brings a cocktail of anger and fear to Iwan, as he grumbles, Your cockiness will be your demise, God Killer! Do not forget that each of these left you near death only days ago. Together, you will be annihilated. Do you understand?" To which Vegito would respond, "I understand perfectly, so hurry up and give me my just desserts." And just like that, Guts and Madara would then shoot off for Vegito, who immediately gets into fighting stance, readying himself without an ounce of hesitation. But as the master and student attack with elbow and fist simultaneously, a smiling Vegito is quick to just duck under, leading to what seems like an angered Madara to launch yet another attack. To think I had problems reading your movements before, Madara. As instantly, as if avoiding attacks from just his younger son, Vegito would just hop over Madara's attack like it was nothing. But of course, undeterred, the puppet Guts would soon then launch his own attack. Really, Guts? You think I wouldn't notice that big clunking body of yours? Get real. Eventually leading to Guts appearing right behind Vegito, but of course, the God Killer wouldn't care less. Dodging the swipe of Guts' arm with the simplest of head movements without even facing him before. Don't get too close, God! Before, like a donkey being approached closely from behind, quickly swings his leg back and kicks Guts far off. But even with that pushback, the battle continues between the two, despite how one-sided it is as the puppet Madara watches on. But with of course nothing to say, the puppet would then launch in at what seems the perfect moment to step in. Oh, there you are, Madara! Reaching Vegito mid-fight from behind, but as he swings, Vegito quickly vanishes out of the way, leading to Madara striking his student instead, as Vegito yells from behind, "Hey! I don't think you're allowed to be beating your student, Madara! Tut tut! Maybe I'll have to be the one to dish out some disciplinary action here." As Vegito then begins powering in his palm a concentrated sphere of energy. Die! As suddenly, the God Killer launches a barrage of ki blasts at the two members of the strongest, who just watch stunned, unable to move until Iwan moves them. And Iwan does exactly that in the end, as instantly Madara closes his hands together and summons his giant samurai titan at the very last moment, as each of the beams then crash on, exploding right on the protected Madara. While meanwhile, Guts surprisingly finds a way to escape, watching on from above as the smoke of the explosion dissipates. Peekaboo! But it's not long for the God Killer to notice, and he makes his appearance once again behind the once legendary swordsman. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be to just say hi, as in Vegito's right arm, an energy blade suddenly then appears. What? Wait! I won't be able to move him in time! Alarming Iwan, as he realizes no matter how dexterous he is, he will never be able to outspeed the God Killer at that distance. Sorry, Guts, but this is going to be a little bit of deja vu. As Vegito then thrusts his hand behind, ready to cut through Guts once more. Rest in pieces, my friend! And just like that, mercilessly, without any caution, Vegito would cut straight through the body of Guts. But for some reason, whether it is because the warrior is just a puppet or not, Guts barely reacts. But soon, a reason why appears as inexplicably, straight out of the playbook of Vegito, slowly the gaping distance between his torso and legs would begin to be bridged until... finally, Guts would appear whole again as if Vegito had done nothing. What? Did I just see what I thought I saw? Confusing Vegito, having never seen Guts do anything like this in their first battle. But the shock doesn't last long, as Vegito then says with a smile, I guess this is the power of reanimation, huh? Looks like I'm no longer the only immortal here. And in response, the silent warriors would just grunt back. As Guts and Madara then surround Vegito, there is a cold silence as neither side makes the first move until... both Madara and Guts then simultaneously begin moving at super speed. Nice try, but I'm on a whole new level to you two now. And as soon as the three collide, the same story is seen, with the trio then battling all over the sky with absolutely nothing being landed on Vegito before the eyes of Iwan. What am I looking at? But when we zoom in on Iwan's expression, his eyes are wide open in shock, as even he realizes he's keeping up with both of them. No, is he beating them? Yeah! And almost in a perfect answer to Iwan's thoughts, Vegito would then effortlessly strike both Madara and Guts with a full force kick, sending both to a brutal crash landing on the ground and near enough the same exact time. And with each of the former members of the five strongest completely dispatched of, and with ease, Vegito Cockley can't help but reflect, absolutely insane! The improvements I've made are night and day. This is a bigger jump than even when I rematched that freak Zarbon on Namek. Oh, how I still remember the look on his face. But the laughter is soon cut short, as from close by, Vegito begins to sense movement again. As shockingly, like true zombies rising from the dead, Madara and Guts come back to life and full consciousness, despite the earlier beatdown. Leaving Iwan now to seemingly have the last laugh as he yells, "So sorry, God Killer, but as long as I exist, these two will forever continue to fight too. Just give up because..." But mid-sentence, Iwan is left paralyzed into complete silence as before him, a horrifying and unexpected sight then appears. Hello, Destroyer! As suddenly, right before the face of Iwan appears Ultra Vegito, smirking with one hand on his hip nonchalantly and the other face palm first towards the god, as he looks down and says, "Well, if it's as long as you exist, Iwan, then I should just make sure you don't anymore." Kai! Immediately then shouting the one word we all expected to erase Iwan finally. That is until... Wait! They'll be erased too! Iwan, with a look of pure terror and a trembling voice, would yell out a confusing statement. Huh? Causing Vegito to stop his destruction technique midway and question, "Those two will be erased too? What the hell are you talking about, you damn Yeti?" And Iwan, now serious as he finally gets a chance to fight for his life, then begins, Yes, if you destroy me, those two will vanish too. They are only here because of my energy. You see these energy strings? They run through their whole body. And if you erase me, while my energy makes up their very being, once I disappear, they too will face the same fate. You don't want that, do you, God Killer? You're obviously saving them for some reason. Perhaps because only the destroyers and angels were part of the erasure of Earth. But whatever your reasoning, stick with it. Spare me, and me only. You've proven your point and given me a brutal defeat. I will disappear from this universe and never talk to a mortal again, let alone destroy one. I will even help you find Mule, if you wish. And with that said, suddenly a look of deep thought strikes Vegito, and he even then drops his palm as if actually agreeing. And without saying a word more, Vegito would then mysteriously turn his back to a nervous Iwan and begin walking towards Guts and Madara. And soon enough, Vegito would approach Guts first, the first of the 5 strongest, and perhaps one of the only gods Vegito had grown a level of respect for. And once Vegito and Guts lock eyes, Vegito can only say quietly, "What has he done to you, Guts? Do you even know who you're looking at anymore?" But of course, only monotonous groans or silence is what the lifeless puppet Guts gives back in return. Before Vegito would then continue, "Guts, it's true. You were nothing to do with what happened to my loved ones, and it wouldn't be fair to even say you allowed it to happen. You've existed for millennia, and to this day, I know not where you or Madara are from. Madara had mentioned a land beyond, and if it's different from this realm, then I cannot make the wrong decision here." But suddenly, a truly interesting phenomenon begins to develop, as from the right side of Vegito's skull, a small bump begins to develop, before then growing out quickly to a small horn, and finally, a full-length demon horn, just as we've witnessed against Madara, and notably as he does so, a lone tear falls from Vegito's eyes. A horn? And Iwan from behind would instantly realize what this meant. Kai! As now, a demonically charged Vegito out of nowhere would then yell the chant he was supposed to finish earlier, tears still flowing, but said with conviction nonetheless. And just like that, the silent puppet Guts would erase instantly. You monster! You demon! Causing an instant shock and horror reaction from Iwan before... His fight or flight is activated and he immediately just begins running for his life. only serving though to anger Vegito more though, as he grumbles. You made me do that, Yeti! You think you can run? You think you can run from me? As Vegito immediately then swipes his right hand into the air before... Planetary Hunkai! And in a truly shocking, unexpected move, Vegito would then crash his palm into the face of the planet, pushing all his destruction power into the very core of the globe, causing huge ripples of energy, wind and power to shockwave everywhere as he does so until... In a flash of unfathomable light and speed, Iwan, Madara, and the entire planet are then erased on the spot and never to be seen again. And in the silent aftermath, Vegito is left all alone in the expanse of space, his right hand still trailing with destruction energy, as when we zoom in, a single trace of a tear remains in his eyes, as he looks down and finally says, "You were a fool to think that dirty trick would work on me, Destroyer. Those two deserve to just die and atone in the afterlife. But if you think I won't do anything to get my revenge on you, Destroyers, then you have another thing coming." But as Vegito says this, behind, almost without a hint of sound, a pair of feet descend. Well, that was an entertaining show, Godkiller. And suddenly, a mysterious new figure is revealed, with black hair, a symbol on his cheek, and draped in what could only be described as divine clothing, as the mystery warrior would then finally let out, "I'm guessing you know the deal by now. I am the third of the 5 strongest. You may call me Yamoshi." But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag Yamoshi in the comments down below and let me know just how powerful this warrior will be, and if he really is the legendary Saiyan we're all thinking of. Or you can just find out what happens right now on my Patreon, where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracked, and edited for you to enjoy with over 5,100 plus other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fan mangas too. It's the deal of the century.